YouTube turned 20 years old this year, and on Press Perspective today, we take a look at this video platform's role in promoting the Korean wave and more. Hello and welcome to Press Perspective. It's Friday, May 2nd here in Seoul, and time for our talk on a host of headlines related to social and entertainment news. For this, I have writer Colin Marshall here in the studio. Colin, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
I also have Marianna Baroli, a journalist for the weekly Italian news magazine Panorama. It's a pleasure, Marianna, to have you here.
Thank you for having me back.
Right, Colin, we will start with you. So YouTube, as I mentioned in the short clip at the start of this talk, turned 20 this year, and Psy's Gangnam Style, as well as Pinkfong's version of Baby Shark, were listed among the biggest moments of YouTube. Do tell us more about that.
Yes, the New York Times published this list of YouTube's famous moments we all remember. If you're of my generation, you certainly do. You know, the kid coming back from the dentist all high, or Charlie bit my finger, or chocolate rain, or any of these viral videos, or viral videos before we even knew to call them viral videos. I mean, when YouTube launched in 2005, it was interesting because there wasn't really any way, I mean, younger people won't know, there wasn't really much of a way to see videos on demand, to just pull up videos people had made or to share your own videos. And early on, it was like people were posting, you know, old cartoons we remembered, or finding what content was going to work on YouTube took some time. But it soon took shape, and it soon became the cultural platform worldwide, I would say. It's probably the most important one, or has been the most important one, at least for the past decade or so. And as you mentioned, several of these moments, I would say disproportionately, are Korea-related in the history of YouTube. So one example, you mentioned Baby Shark, which is this children's song, originally a song sung in sort of American summer camps that was then made into a video by this company, Smart Study. It makes educational content and became viral as a children's video. Children's YouTube being a whole other side of YouTube that I'm not a parent yet, I soon will be, and I know I'll be exposed to that world fairly soon. But if you go big on children's YouTube, you go very big. And I didn't even know Baby Shark was Korean for a long time. It became viral, became this whole thing, but I didn't have a reason to encounter it. Still, you watch it today and you compare it to children's YouTube now, and it seems like Shakespeare compared to, say, Cocomelon or any of the total brain-melting content out there. But Gangnam Style, of course, is really the big Korean moment on YouTube. It was a huge viral video, the hugest viral video ever at that point. And I think it came through the Philippines, really. It wasn't so much that it came straight out from Korea to the world, as it was shared in the Philippines. There have been studies about like the sort of internet traffic patterns of Gangnam Style, and from the Philippines spread throughout the world. And even viewers who have no interest in Korea, no awareness of Korea, watched Gangnam Style and they couldn't believe their eyes. I remember seeing one novelist give a talk just a couple of years later, and he was saying, "Do you remember when you first saw Gangnam Style? I felt like I was high." You know, it was like this video that altered your consciousness, and it was so silly to people in a way that they'd never understood before or seen before. And I myself, on the 10-year anniversary of Gangnam Style, wrote a piece for The New Yorker looking back on its sort of legacy and what it was satirizing as well. Like, we know what Gangnam is here, and I think there is some awareness of Gangnam because of Gangnam Style, but it's still not quite well understood what Psy is satirizing. So if you want to understand that, it can be a sort of window into Korea. Like, he's making fun of something specific about Korean culture, especially modern Korean culture. And if you dig into that, you can learn a lot about this society. But I mean, there are other moments too that are Korea-related. One of them I'll mention finally, Mr. Beast, I think one of the biggest, maybe the biggest YouTuber working right now. His biggest video, and that's a high bar, by the way, because he gets so many views, is just his videos are engineered to be viral. Every video goes viral. His most viral video was a recreation of Squid Game. Squid Game in real life, he calls it, where he got contestants together to play Squid Game-like games, like simulating the challenges. And Squid Game itself, as we know, was huge. But when Mr. Beast does a Squid Game video, this is just like, it can only go huge, and so it did. But I think we haven't seen the last Korea-related big YouTube booming video. I mean, there are more to come, I'm sure.
Right, for sure. As Colin mentioned, Marianna, YouTube has been playing quite a big role in taking Korean content onto the global stage. That being said, what more can you tell us about YouTube's role in promoting the Korean wave on the international stage?
I think it was a powerful engine, actually. As Colin said, everything that goes through YouTube, it's a cultural phenomenon and gives us an expect and new views on a new world, actually. And from Psy, as you mentioned, or Baby Shark to BTS, that at first they didn't rely on Western media to promote themselves abroad. So I think that YouTube gave access 24/7, 24 hours to 7 days a week to some content that nobody knows actually in the Western side of the world. And now everyone can enjoy K-drama, K-beauty, K-pop, K-food, everything connected to Korea and to this beautiful side of the world, and no more and no better. And probably during COVID, we had a huge push thanks to YouTube. We were stuck in our home, so the only thing we could do was like consuming videos and, you know, dream to fly to somewhere else in the world and experience some other type of life. And I think that Hallyu probably wouldn't be so huge right now without YouTube as well, because YouTube played a really crucial role into growing the Hallyu wave in the Western side of the world, especially Europe probably.
Right. Beyond the Korean wave then, Colin, as you mentioned earlier, YouTube itself, the platform, it appears to have strengthened its standing, if I may, among content creators. Tell us more about this reality.
Right, it's YouTube. YouTube videos are themselves a cultural form now. As I mentioned, when YouTube came out, there was some. Whenever any platform comes out, it's like, what are we going to do with this? What do we put here? I'm not sure. Can we upload? We can't upload a movie because they're copyright protected, so they'll get taken down. Like I could make my own video, but who wants to watch? You know, at that time, who wants to watch some person just talking? No one wants to see amateur content. You know, that was wrong, of course. But I mentioned Mr. Beast, the biggest YouTuber probably, certainly among young people. And I am not his target audience. I've seen exactly one of his videos, and I was not compelled to see more. But he has engineered his videos to maximize the qualities of the, how to put it, to use the qualities of YouTube, the YouTube video as a medium. He had this sort of mission statement / manifesto / manual at his company that leaked out like a year or two ago. And it's for new recruits to Mr. Beast Incorporated or whatever it is. And he starts by saying something memorable, I thought. He's saying, we're not in the business of making the best TV shows. We're not in the business of making the best movies. Those wouldn't succeed on YouTube. Like if the most critically acclaimed movie ever would fail on YouTube, we're in the business of making the best YouTube videos. And so he shows you what a YouTube video is. You know, it has an intriguing concept, like we did Squid Game in real life. You know, it holds your attention. It's about 20 minutes long. And there are certain tropes if you watch his videos or other big creators. You find this is kind of the downside of YouTube is that the algorithm or the algorithms in play, they favor certain types of content at any given point in time. It keeps changing, and suddenly, like every creator who's astute about writing the algorithm changes to suit it. And so, like if you like travel videos, and I sometimes look up what Korea travel videos people are making, at any given point in time, they're kind of all doing the same thing in the same way. You know, there's a lot of tropes. You know, hey guys, here I am in Gwangjang Market. Let's get some tteokbokki. You know, so there is a certain convergence, certain redundancy to a lot of the content there because people are at any given point, creators at any given point are going sort of down the same path to virality or to try to retain their audience. Audience retention is a big metric on YouTube. So on the whole, though, it's opened up a whole vast cultural universe. And every day I see things I could never have seen anywhere else. For language learning alone, like finding content in other languages, I never would have had access to if it weren't for YouTube. So like all technologies, it's 51% good. I think the good outweighs the bad, but you get a lot of dreck, as they say, comes along with it, unfortunately, but no platform is perfect.
Right, and speaking about the languages on YouTube, Marianna, the YouTube's auto-translate feature, it can translate captions into the language of your choice. What does that mean for non-English content, do you think?
I think it's a huge game changer, but we need to use it very carefully because even if Korean is a beautiful language, as every language has is like signatures and nuances, and it's good to know that you can relate to auto-translation, but you need to think about, also look at what you're watching, you know, just look it deeper other than what you're reading behind that. I'm thinking, for example, to variety show, Korean variety show. When you look at that with auto-translated caption, obviously it helps out reading and understanding what they're saying and laughing with them and things like that. But sometimes we miss the point, you know. So, and I know that I think that in a world that is moving so fast right now, and everyone that's interested in the Hallyu wave and Korean entertainment, especially, knows some kind of languages or words or like key sentences, can understand that when the auto translation's gone wrong, and that can be a pity because, you know, people can get very upset. They're ruining basically the show, doing a bad translation. Bad translation is one of the biggest problems right now, I think, in this kind of world that's moving so fast, but still is so slow in this kind of learning languages phase. So I think so from one side is a true game changer, but we need to rely on it very, very carefully. I think that consuming things in English, with English subtitles, it's always the best choice.
Right, for sure, for sure. Marianna, meanwhile, in recent times, there have been tangible signs that neighboring China may be slowly embracing the Korean wave again. What have been some of the signs that you've been witnessing?
Oh, well, I think IPEC's concert is going to be a huge step forward with the relationship with China.
Their concert in China, it's the
yeah,
first
it's
one
the
in
first
almost
one,
10 years, is it?
Yes, and nobody before was able to do that. No BTS, no Blackpink, nobody. And just think of Crash Landing on You. It was banned from the country, and now we have this group, which is a great group, and I know they're going to perform in an incredible way. This is going to be historical because, you know, it's something very, very meaningful, but we need to be cautious. Because I always think that when it comes to political relationship, we need to rely on K-pop, yeah, but not put all the pressure on the boys or the girls that are going to perform, because they're just performers and they're doing great. They will do great. They're going to sign a very important step for South Korea and the relationship with China, but we don't need to put pressure on them for whatever is going to happen next.
All right. Marianne, this is an impromptu question. I am aware that you're probably one of the first, is it, Italian journalists to take K-pop to the Italian audience.
Yes.
What are some of these stories about K-pop that your audience is interested at the moment?
At the moment, they want to know more about new groups, but there is a rising interest in old groups as well. For example, yesterday night I was invited to the Seoul Festa, the Wonder Show, and G.O.D. were playing, and everyone was so excited, and I ran a small questionnaire on my social media channels, and everyone was like, oh, we need to see G.O.D. live. Everyone wants to see old K-pop and wants to know more, and that's the best thing for me because, you know, everyone is great, but knowing the roots is always important. So interviews is still my main focus actually on K-pop, but I will try to do from here as much as I can.
Right, good to know, good to know. Colin, moving forward now, starting tomorrow, we are looking ahead to a long weekend, Colin. We are celebrating Children's Day as well as Buddha's birthday. Initially, there was actually talk about making today, that is Friday, a temporary holiday to allow Koreans a longer time to enjoy leisure activities in hopes that they will boost domestic consumption. But this idea was scrapped when findings show that Koreans prefer to travel overseas when they have a longer than expected holiday than travel here in the country. What do you suppose is perhaps discouraging Koreans from travel within national borders?
Yes, there have been some articles recently about the sort of lower profits, the lower sort of number of entrances that tourism sites around the country have had in recent years. And usually this sort of story is associated with holidays like Chuseok and Solal. And in those cases, you have some Koreans who say, it's better to travel outside the country during those holidays because otherwise you're subject to various family obligations. You have to go to someone's house across the country, and getting across the country is not that easy at those times. So it's like better just to say, I'm going to be in Malaysia or whatever it is at that time, and you're out of the commitments you might have otherwise been subject to. But as well, I mean, if an American hears this story, they think, oh, are Koreans really so rich that they're just on a long weekend doing international travel? And it's not so much that as that the other countries are close by. They're not necessarily traveling to Europe. They might be going to Japan. They might be going to Taiwan. There are a number of countries in Asia, or parts of countries, Kota Kinabalu, and I think Malaysia has been, I never heard of the place before coming to Korea, but it's big. Or Vietnam is a huge destination. So it's typically travel within Asia. And we mentioned YouTube, which is a quasi form of social media, but the rise and dominance of visual social media in Korea also incentivizes going someplace that you can show and that stands out as being different. When your friends scroll through, if they see you in sort of Gyeongju, it's fine. But if they see you in a place that's obviously foreign, that looks more exotic, if they see you in, Sapporo or somewhere, then it stands out and you'll have more likes and you'll just, you feel a little bit better if your thing is social media. But there's been criticism even in the Korean press of what might be wrong with the local or the domestic destinations. And it's not so much really that anything's wrong as that they've evolved in a very similar way. So, if you go to a new city in Korea, often it's like, oh, you got to ride the cable car. So they all have one of those. Go to the tower. Many have one of the towers. You should go. I mean, I like traditional markets, Shijang, and they are different from each other, but they don't necessarily feel different on first glance. Or it's like we have, rail bikes became big. Like when one form of attraction gets popular in one place in Korea, it quickly spreads to all the other places, regardless of suitability. And so I think there is a sort of sameness Koreans feel about destinations in their own country. And of course, for a long time, Jeju Island was the place to go, whether it was a honeymoon or the place you could go. I mean, there was no other choice. But now, if you're going to get on a plane, you might as well, the thinking goes, take the extra half hour, the extra hour, and go to another country, because now it's easy. Before 1989, of course, you couldn't do it at all unless you had an invitation. So I think there's still almost an excitement. There's still a novelty about free, as in like unrestricted international travel that Koreans are enjoying, even if they were born into the country with that condition already in place.
Right, and while Koreans choose to fly overseas, Marianna, fortunately, quite a number of foreign travelers are choosing to visit the country. Now, I understand your first visit here was after the pandemic, because initially you planned to come in the year 2020, but was put off.
Exactly.
What were your initial impressions of Korea?
Actually, I was like kind of shocked because it's crazy similar to Italy in some way. So I was like, where I am, I'm actually at home, because I live here in Milan. So the city is not the same, but it has the same vibe, except for here is way safer, and I can go out at night alone without worrying about being robbed, touched, or like something bad happens to me. And I can always find food or something to do, even at night. And that's the main difference. But I was shocked, actually, from how similar the two cities were. But I can totally understand why people is now traveling to Korea, because we're exposed to Korean content 24/7, actually. Korea is everywhere in the world thanks to K-beauty, K-food. And in Milan, we have, I think, over 30 Korean restaurants right now and a lot of Korean beauty shop. So I can totally understand people romanticizing the fact of going actually in the actual land where everything is born. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons people is traveling here right now. They want to know more, and they want to live this kind of cinematic, romantic experience in Korea. Like, oh, I saw this K-drama, so I want to walk the same step as my favorite character, or I want to go to that cafe and experience the same thing, or I want to go to, I don't know, I'm thinking of one of the Korean drama where you see, I don't know, the lake or the Lotte World, and people is like, oh, I want to experience that. I want to dress up as a high school student again. And school is kind of tricky in Italy, It's something you don't want to repeat, I think, everywhere in the world. But then you're willing to come to South Korea and dress up as a school student and go to Lotte World and fake with a relationship maybe with your friend or your best friend just to, live the romantic experience. So I think that and cafes and the beauty routines and the beauty clinic and the tech also everything is very romanticized and very cinematic and very interesting.
Was there a specific experience that you wanted to experience here in Korea?
I just want to walk down the street, you know?
Seoul.
Just, see the cars, see the lights, see everything feel the city. That was my main experience. I always try to avoid doing touristic things when I travel, because I always say that when I do something very touristic, like for example, I've been here, this is my 8th time, and I've never been on the Namsan Tower, for example. Because every time I say, if I start doing that kind of things, it means I'm not going back. So I always try to keep something like left behind, and I'm like, okay, next time. So, you know, I always have a reason to come back. And I think that's one of the reasons some people do. I know a lot of Italians does the same.
And I wonder, Colin, have you been to Namsan Tower as a resident?
I have, but
here?
it took me a few years.
Yeah,
I didn't go right away. I've never been a tourist here, but it took me a while.
All right. Now, Colin, what perhaps, as a resident here, as a foreign resident here in South Korea, what are the aspects perhaps that need to be addressed to better accommodate foreign guests here in South Korea?
I think what Marianna said, it exemplifies what I was thinking about on that subject, which is that not all visitors want to go to tourist sites. Many do, but especially among Westerners, Americans, Europeans, there is a sense like, okay, I don't want to see the 5 or 6 popular spots everyone goes to, everybody's taking photos at, that I feel like I'm directed to by the official guides. I want to see the real Korea, and that's a phrase you hear a lot. I've heard a lot from visiting friends, and I think a lot of times this conflicts with the priorities of what I think of as official Korea. Like, in that mindset, you should see the palace, and it should be a pristine-looking, clean palace. Like it should be a palace that looks exactly like it did 500 years ago, but everything is new. And that's kind of strange to a visiting, especially to a European, I would imagine. Like, it's old, but it doesn't feel old. And you know, I was talking to an American last night, asking where are the best heritage sites to visit, and I kept thinking, well, a lot of them are interesting, but many of them feel like reconstructions because they are. I think that acknowledging that a lot of visitors just want to explore for themselves. You can kind of nudge them toward things, but they want to feel like they're discovering for themselves, not being led by the hand to like, oh, look at this palace, and without any context. Oftentimes they don't have the historical understanding yet to know why this palace is there or what it did. So, you know, promoting tourist traps can hurt more than it helps in some cases. But yeah, you want to feel like, you want to give especially Westerners a sense they're seeing Korea that's undiscovered. And I mean, they too are posting to their social media a lot of times. So, you know, maybe the neighborhoods that many times Koreans feel like in Seoul, oh, I don't want foreigners to see that neighborhood. That's the neighborhood they do want to see because it feels real. It's actually old. Everybody there is local. You know, sometimes the people are old. Sometimes, it's too noisy. The Koreans might say, well, they want to hear the noise. They want to feel like they're in a Korean TV show or movie sometimes, and that's not necessarily accomplished by going to the newest, cleanest, most Western-like places.
Definitely something to think about, Colin. Right, thank you so much for your insights, Colin, today as well. And Marianna, all the way from Italy, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts today.
Thank you for having me, really.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
Right. Well, that is all from us this week. We return on Wednesday after the long weekend holiday. Have a great rest.